Today, I want to apply the principle to the experience of the great character and the literature of religion, the character of Job. And as a simple background, I want to read just a little for 2 or 3 minutes, a little of the stirrings of this man's heart. Perished the day when I was born, the night that said it is a boy. Utter darkness may it be, longing for light and finding none. May darkness and gloom reclaim it, may clouds rest on it, may all eclipses scare it, may the deep dark seize that night. Be that night severed from the days of the year, kept out of the count of the months. Yes, barren be that night, bereft of any joyous cry. May the enchanters curse that day, enchanters who can rouse the dragon. Dark be its stars of the dawn, may it never see the eyelids of the morning. Why died I not when I was born? Why did I not perish at birth? Why was I not buried like an abortion, like stillborn babes that never see daylight? I would have been lying still. I would have slept in peace with kings and statesmen of the world who had built pyramids for themselves, with princes rich in gold who had filled palaces with silver. Man born of woman lives but few days and is full of trouble. He flowers and fades. He is a fleeting shadow, and thou wilt fasten upon such. How wilt thou? Thou wilt bring him to justice, his life all rotting in decay like a moth-eaten robe. Oh, that among the impure might be found one pure man, but there is not one. And thou hast fixed man's days and numbered his few months. Take thine eye off him, let him have some peace until his laboring day be done. There is hope for a tree that is felled, it may flourish again, the shoots of it need not fail. Though its roots decay in the soil, though its stump is dead in the ground, it may bud at the scent of water and put out boughs like a plant. But man dies and departs. Man breathes his last. And where is he? Like the water of a vanished lake, like a dry, drained river, man lies down, never to rise, never to waken, though the skies wear out, never to stir out of his slumber. And then, why has not God set sessions for justice? Why do his followers never see him intervening? Evil men are removing landmarks, plundering flocks and shepherds, driving off the orphan's ass, seizing the widow's cow for debt, tearing her fatherless babe from her breast, seizing the very infants of the poor for debt, evicting poor folk till these humble souls must hide and huddle away. They wander like the wild ass in the desert, roaming in search of food, for the children have no bread. They have to steal corn from the fields by night and rob the vineyards of the rich. All night they lie naked, unclad, uncovered from the cold, drenched by downpour from the hills, and clinging to rocks for shelter till vigor fails them and their vital strength is gone. Gaunt with hunger and with want, they gnaw herbs in the wold, gathering salt wort under bushes, using broom roots for their fuel. They grope in waste and desolate places, driven from the haunts of men, the hue and cry after them like thieves. They live in dark ravines and caves and rocks, grunting among the bushes. coupling under the scrub, brainless creatures and base routed out of the country. Some have to go bare, unclothed, hungry while they're harvesting, pressing the oil between the rows of olives, thirsty while they crush wine from grapes. Others evade the daylight, caring not for the ways of God, refusing to pursue his path. The murderers rise in the dark, to kill poor folk and hopeless. The groan of victims rise from the town, and wounded men cry out, but God pays no heed to the crime. God pays no heed to the crime. And then one other place. Can't find it. Had it marked here somewhere. Isn't that curious? Well, I don't suppose I'll read it after all. Because it was marked and now I can't. So, I see. And then God speaks. Who darkens my design with a cloud of thoughtless words? Confront me like a man and answer these my questions. When I founded the earth, where were you then? Answer me that if you have wit to know. Who measured out the earth? Do you know that? Who stretched the builder's lines? What were its pedestals placed on? Who laid the cornerstone when the morning stars were singing and all the angels chanted in their joy? Who helped to shut in the sea when it burst from the womb of chaos? When I swathed it in mists and swaddled it in clouds of darkness, when I fixed its boundaries, barred and bolted it, saying, thus far and no further, here your proud waves shall not pass. Have you ever roused the morning? Have you ever given directions to the dawn to catch earth by the corners and shake out the wicked? Earth stands out clear like clay stamped by a seal, in all its colors like a robe, while wicked men are robed of their dark hours, and their uplifted arms are broken. Do you know how wild goats breed on the hills? Can you control the calving of hinds? Do you fix their appointed time? Do you know when they are to bear? Down they bend, and the womb opens, and they drop their young, lusty offspring, thriving in the open, that run out and return not to the herd. Who gave the wild ass his freedom? Who let the swift ass roam at large? Whose home I make the steps, whose dwelling is the salty land? Will the wild ox be content to slave for you? Will he stay in your stable? Does your wit send the hawk to soar and spread her wings for the south? Does your word make the eagle mount to nest aloft among the hills? Will critics still dispute with the Almighty, to argue with God? Answer all these questions. Will you seek to discredit my justice, to justify yourself? Will you condemn me? If you have an arm like God's, if you can thunder with a voice like his, then deck yourself in majesty and pomp, array yourself in grandeur and glory, pour out the fury of your wrath, and abase all the proud, lay all the lofty low, and crush the wicked on the spot, bury them all in the dust, and shroud their faces with the darkness. Then I will offer praise to you, because your right hand wins the victory. Now, the problem with which we are dealing this morning, the aspect of the problem of loyalty with which we are dealing this morning is this. Is there a price tag on integrity? Is loyalty, as defined in this series, is it in the conflict when the logic of the mind says yes, and the logic of the heart says no? For what kind of vote does the life cast when the issue is of that character? When the mind says I should not be true to this, and the heart says I must be true to this. And if that which is at stake is of ultimate significance, if that which is at stake is the ultimate point of reference for the validity of the personality, then how do you work it out? Now, the problem as applied to the principle, as Job worked it out, is very significant, very relevant for our purposes. In the here, we are dealing with a kind of non-academic struggle in which, in one way or another, every person in this room and every person in the world is involved. And you will see my meaning as we work along. The story is very simple, and you're familiar with it, but may I refresh your minds. It is a drama. A drama. It opens with a prologue. And a very interesting prologue, because the prologue states that all of the spirits were part of the heavenly company, including Satan, which is interesting, but I'll try not to run down side streets as we work along. It's a very fascinating thing. I just wish I could take just a minute to say something about this fact that Satan is one of the members of the company. And good fun, he's mischievous. He's always fooling around on the fringes, upsetting things a little, but he's in good standing. He's a member of the company. And everybody reports, so God asks him, well, what have you been doing? He knew that he'd been around. Well, what have you been doing? And he said, well, I've been around. I've been up and down the earth. I've been looking around. Saw a lot of things. Then the question of Job comes up. Yes, Job, he's all right. Nothing to brag about. He wouldn't be all right has a house full of children, all of them love him, has a wife devoted to him. He's the head man in the village. Whenever he comes in, people stand up. He has wealth, fame, reputation, character, all of it thrown in one. Well, wouldn't it be all right? But I'd like to tell you something you don't know, and that is his stability rests upon the stability of his station and his security. Rob him of it, and he will collapse. Well, that's the setting. And the interesting thing is that the people the players who revealed here, Job and the others, they don't know about this preamble. See, we know it. You see, yes, we read it, but it's like going to a movie and you see something that the people in the play and the movie don't see. You know something they don't know. You say, you watch them act and go through their routines, and you said, gee, if I could just tell them, I could just do that, then it would be all right. A lot of things they're doing now would make sense or would not make sense. They'd stop, they'd alter the whole pattern. Well, anyway, the figures here don't know this. So, the scene opens, and Job, God lets Satan, or gives him permission to do everything but take Job's life. Ultimately, that's what it amounts to. Do everything but take Job's life. So you see, it opens with a fundamental affirmation of monotheism, of a philosophical and ethical and thoroughgoing unity, oneness, a kind of monism. There is no complete and fundamental dualism, you see. Satan is recalcitrant, but ultimately powerless. You see? Bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. Now, it moves very rapidly. Job has everything taken away from him, children, family, all of that, and you read his lamentation. And his first reaction is that how long is this going to last? When is it going to end? Every time the tidings came, there was something else, and he wondered how much of that he could take. There must be something here. And then he was very, very irrational in his outbursts, because the suffering to which he'd been afflicted was suffering that had interrupted the even tenor of his way, and therefore the suffering itself became to him a great irrationality. Now let's follow that. He did not apply an irrational principle to all of the suffering that came, for the suffering became immune to an irrational principle, primarily because the suffering interfered with the normalcy of his life. And of course, that's one of our first experiences with suffering. It is because suffering breaks the normal pattern of our life that it becomes in the initial stages an evil thing. Not because of the logic of the suffering itself, not because of the relentless operation of the laws of antecedent and consequence, or the operation of natural law, or some other kind of moral law, that the suffering is evil. No. But it is because in working out its logic, as it fulfills itself, it cuts across the pattern of our normalcy, of our sense of direction, of our meaning and our values, and we're moving this way and it comes this way, and we can't get the two together. Now, Joe's friends came to talk to him, and that's what friends are good to do. They comforted him, and they began very simply. And you see the bearing of all this on our problem in a minute. They talked very simply. Now, they wanted to comfort him. And they told him, you don't lose your head. Just don't lose your head. Now, let's see here. We love you and we trust you. There's something here that you don't quite understand, but don't go to pieces. Well, that's all right. And then little by little that begins to emerge. The heart of the problem. What is the problem? This is the kind of world in which a good man does not suffer bad things. If a good man suffers bad things, it is because in calling him a good man, you indulge in an oversight. And Job accepted that. You see, because it is a part of his whole training, a part of the whole philosophy of this period. And incidentally, just in passing, it's a part of much of our working philosophy. And don't look as you're looking when I say that. Honestly, now, isn't it true that when things bear down on you run over in your mind some kind of balance sheet, to see how this makes sense. You begin to weigh it. Perhaps you don't do it as dramatically as Job did, but this whole sense of relating destiny and life to reward and punishment, that is what I mean. That's all. And it broods over the human enterprise, dropping down now and then to accentuate itself and then going on. But it does that with us all the time. Now, it is true, said Job, that that good suffer, that men suffer because of what they do, and that balance. But I know, says Job, that I haven't been doing anything. Now the logic is true. I accept that it's a part of my morality that you reap what you sow. And when men say you reap what you sow, they are usually thinking in terms of negative things always. We don't say you reap what you sow thinking of positive things. Isn't it curious? When I say you reap what you sow, it's a word of caution. But I don't recognize that if it's valid as a principle of life, you see, it is also operative in the positive and creative dimensions of life as well as the positive and destructive dimensions of life. All right. So Job said, I don't rate this. I grant that men rate these things, but I don't rate this. I accept the principle, but I reject its application to me. Now, if I accept the principle and reject the application to me, then I am driven to the inevitable and inexorable conclusion that he who controls the life of man must of necessity be unjust. Do you see how he arrives there? If you reap what you sow in these negative terms, then I'm reaping what honestly I know I haven't sown. Now, if I'm convinced that I'm reaping what honestly I know I haven't sown, then the reaping is a gratuity. And if the reaping is a gratuity administered by God, then it means that God is dealing, whatever may be the principle, God is dealing with me as a person, as one who is unjust. And I want to find him so I can tell him. And he keeps hiding because he knows I have a case. So he sends all of you. And when in the second cycle, there are 3 cycles of argument here, and when the second cycle comes along, they say, that at first we use tame words to try to comfort you and reassure you, but we find that the thing is worse than we thought. Not only are you paying for this sort of thing, not only are you reaping what you've been sowing that nobody knew anything about, you see. You see, they implied it at first. That you think you understand, but what has happened is that God's pulled the cover off. You see, all of this has been going on and nobody knew it. And now, all of this calamity, God shows his hand, which reveals your face. And then, but now what we guessed, we know, because you are now becoming blasphemous. You see? You are accusing God of being unjust. And then Job says, oh, I don't know. You get me all confused. Miserable comforters are ye all. With my mind I know that according to my own and our ethical and moral and religious teaching, which is that we pay for everything, and wherever you see a man paying, you can rest assured that he is paying for that which in some antecedent manner, some previous manner, he has committed. Now, that's my mind. The logic of my mind says that nothing walks with aimless feet. Where there is smoke, there's fire. That if all these things are happening, some kind of process must have set them in motion so that what we see this man experiencing is but the unfolding of the logic of his life. That's sense. But if I accept that, if I am true to that intellectual conclusion about the nature of existence and what it reveals about the character of God, if I must be true to that, if my ultimate loyalty must rest on that kind of interpretation of who God is, then I must root out and destroy the message that my heart gives me. And what is that? My heart says, that God can't be evil. My heart says, keep on worshiping God, even though in the worshiping of God, in the midst of what you are going through, your mind tells you you're a fool. How shall I cast my vote? So, Job tries to escape his dilemma by saying that my integrity, my referring to himself, that my integrity is really greater than God's. I have fed the hungry. I have snatched the children of widows from the jaws of the usurer until his fang dropped, relaxed its hold upon their bodies. Never have I withheld my hand in the presence of the dumb, inarticulate churning of the needs of my fellows. I have done with reference to other human beings what God will not do with reference to me.